Thank you so much for that introduction, Ian. So I thought to start off with this slide, and if decarbonization really is the purpose, I think it's fair to say that the industry is not really doing enough. And we do not really have any oil crisis or any external factors pushing us to make this change. We have to use market forces to make this happen. And this slide illustrates how and how we think the market forces can come into play to really drive carbon reduction in the industry. So on the left-hand side, we have demand, and the drivers there are regulation, competition, and private demand. On the other side, we have another driver, which is the users. And here we need to upskill people in their current roles, and we need to train new experts. And when we do this, what will happen is we will have more users asking for more data. That will lead to more competition, and that will create incentives for you, the manufacturers, to create more product LCA, more EPD documentation. When we have more product LCA data, we enable other manufacturers and we enable engineers, architects, and designers to make better projects, so better eco-design. When we have better eco-design, we lower the carbon footprint, which leads to stricter market expectations and higher impact in terms of lower carbon emissions. And then, with stricter market expectations, we will have even more people, more users coming, expecting this data, and this kind of flywheel effect will take place, and that will really drive change. So we think. That being said, the challenge is quite immense. So if we look at the entire AEC supply chain, from parts to products to projects, it's a really vast one. So when we look at the AEC products available, we have roughly 100 million products. When we look at the suppliers making the parts, we have 10 million of those. And then AEC professional, 25 million. So really, really, really big numbers. And to service this, we have roughly 20,000 LCA practitioners and well below 1,000 EPD verifiers. And you think about this, like the numbers doesn't add up. So we need other things to happen. So for data to reach all those users, and now I'm not talking about the 20,000 LCA practitioners, but a good fraction of those 25 million AEC professionals, we need end-to-end data flow. Otherwise, it won't really happen. So sustainability data is needed by millions of users in an easy-to-use format. And all of those are not going to make building LCA, but they still need the data to make comparison between products, and I will talk a bit more later on how different user groups are using that type of data. So the scale of the challenge is immense, and it will require seamless automation in order to really make this happen on a big scale. And in addition to integrations such as Autodesk products, Bentley, Trimble, or on the manufacturing side, Oracle or SAP, we also need to leverage AI. And I think everybody in this room use AI today, and I mean, we all fell in love with it. It develops very, very quickly. And specifically generative, which we have seen some examples of already here today, but also agentic AI. That will be required to drive this change. What we see AI is already doing in the field today is 3 different things. And I mean, if you ask me in a month or 2, probably we'll continue to build on this list. But already today, we can see that AI is really good in helping us search for data. So find the right data. It can really crunch the numbers. So our database is 500,000 data sets. For a user to browse through those lists is too much, right? But AI can help us filter that data for us, depending on our geography or what type of project we are working on, and help us find the relevant data sets for our projects. It's also really good with languages. So I think everybody who use ChatGPT or any other AI tool for translation works find it quite amazing. So now you don't even need to know, English or any other common language. You can use it in your specific local language. What AI also can do is help us with the quality of our LCAs. So it can check for completeness. Do I have all the requirement documentation for my projects? Do I fulfill everything, or is there something missing? And it can flag it for us. It can also check the plausibility of my results. So we include all EPDs in our database, so we can check your results against basically all EPDs out there. Is there any outlier in my results? Well, I have this outlier. Maybe I should dive deeper into that and see what's going on. Maybe it's right, maybe it isn't, but it's worth flagging for the user to check deeper. And then finally, it can help us to design better. So using generative design tools, where you basically can plot your piece of land, you can set the building regulations in place. I can only build this many floors, this many square meters, and it can help you optimize for carbon as well. So for a human to do all those calculations, it would take forever and it will cost a fortune. But AI is really good at crunching the numbers, so it can help you optimize your design as well. When we talk about EPDs, before it was quite complex, and it's to some point it still is, to be fair. But we used to have a slogan which was EPDs possible, no PhD required, because most people or most of those LCA practitioners, they did have a PhD title behind them. But today, more and more manufacturers are moving on with end-to-end tools where they can make a lot of work themselves together with the LCA practitioner as well. And they can really make them more faster, more cheap, and more in scale. And the trend we are seeing today is also that more and more manufacturers are moving on with fully automated systems with API integration into their ERP or PLM system, which can help them make EPDs, but it can also help them analyze their product development. So again, using it for eco-design purposes. So really integrating the LCA software into their existing workflow as a manufacturer as well. So great, we have done a bunch of EPDs. Now what? Preparing the EPDs costs time and it costs money. But all the value from your EPDs will be generated when people are actually using them. And not only value in terms of money or revenue for you, but also in terms of carbon reductions. So if people can choose your product because they have better performance than your competitors or than the generic or industry data that's out there, they will choose it. So how can you then reach your buyers as early as possible in order to influence your product prescription? You want it in front of your buyers as early as possible. You want to create awareness. They are aware that you have your EPDs. When they are aware of your EPDs, then they can consider them. And maybe they even create a short list of, I don't purchase any products with higher global warming potential than X or Y. And then finally, you get specified because of your carbon data, not only other type of technical data that you get specified for. So if the only time your product is considered is at the price bid stage, then your chances to win sink, and also you're competing with price. And here I want to highlight that EPD data is used in different ways by different users. So some users, they only want to check the box. They want to see you have an EPD, great. There's a bunch of tables in the end of your EPD document. I'm not going to bother going through those. Those look too technical for me. Then you have other users who will actually go through those tables. They will compare. Usually they compare it on global warming potential data, but as we have heard before, like carbon tunnel vision is real, so they ideally should and eventually will look at other metrics as well. And then we have the final group who actually use your data in building projects or LCA projects. It can be installation product or a whole building. And those use it with the full data in various calculations tools. And how do you then create this awareness? How do you reach your buyers early on? Well, we have a target as a company to reach 1 million users by 2035, I think it is. And we know that we're not going to have 1 million people logging into oneclicklca.com and using our softwares. But we know that the designers, they want to stay in their workflows, right? An architect who is used to work in Revit, they don't want to leave Revit to make their LCA calculations. They want to stay in their existing workflow. So you need to have your data available in the BIM softwares that your customers use. And this is my last slide. And I think my message here is you need to think of it in these terms, that you need to transform your data into sustainability results for your customers. And for the industry, I think we need to help bridge the gap between those who create the data and those who use it. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much.